high school, it was when I began to realize I didn't know everything. That there were a lot of people that knew more than me. And I knew it was really important to listen to a lot of other people and their wisdom and their advice. So in high school, two of my hobbies, okay, one was photography, okay, taking pictures and making videos. And the other one, which I have heard to be kind of unusual, was collecting quotations. I love quotations. I still have some of the books on nights after I was finished with my homework and didn't feel like watching TV. I would go through quote books and write quote after quote after quote after quote from people that had to offer a lot of wisdom. And I knew that no matter what the situation was, no matter what was going on in my life, there was somebody out there who was wiser and smarter than me that probably had a good piece of advice for me. And it was great because I then began to realize that my friends also had very similar experiences that I did. That it was, I wanted to reach out and say, hey, congratulations, or sorry to hear that, but I wanted to do it in a better way. So, for example, in high school, there's two of my best friends, my friend Rob and my friend Diana, okay? We experienced a lot together. They were almost like a brother and a sister to me. And what I started doing was taking the quotes that I love so much, and if something happened in their life, I got the locker combinations, because in high school we all had lockers with locks. I got their locker combinations, and I would write these quotes out on index cards, and sometimes I would put those cards up in their lockers and give them some advice. Well, what was really funny was after a while, people would go to their lockers in the morning to see if they got a new quote. And people started asking me, hey, do you think maybe I could get a quote? Okay, it's my hobby. I don't mind sharing some other people's wisdom. By the time I graduated from high school, I had almost 100 locker combinations. I remember right before graduating, I was after school for about 2.5 hours putting quotes in people's lockers. But I loved it. Why do I share this part of the story with you? Is because I figured, hey, for compassion, it would be so easy for me to just go and look for quotes. Okay? Everybody knows what compassion is. Compassion is feeling what others are feeling and trying to help with their troubles. Compassion is feeling the pain of others and acting to end their distress. So I said, this is going to be easy. Okay? Compassion is clearly a very human virtue. Okay? One of the things that makes us human is the fact that we can see other people in pain, feel that pain sometimes, and reach out to help them. So I decided for this, instead of just going to take the easy route and type in compassion, I was going to type in humanity. And basically, humanity is the quality or state of being human. So I typed in humanity quotations. This was the first thing that came up. People can be divided into 3 classes: the few who make things happen, the many who watch things happen, and the overwhelming majority who have no idea what happened. And I thought to myself, wait a second, I get it, but this quote is saying that there's really only a few good people, and that most people either just watch those good people or just don't even know that there's good stuff going on. So I can't show this during morning gathering. There's got to be something positive. So I looked at the next quote. People care more about being thought to have taste than about being thought either good, clever, or amiable, which means friendly. So now I'm thinking, wait a second. Here's somebody else who's saying that the things that make us human is that we're more interested in basically our stuff than we are in about helping each other. And I was starting to get a little sad about some of the thoughts that people had, so I took the next one. How is it possible to expect mankind to take advice when they cannot so much take warning? And quote after quote after quote about humanity was saying all these bad things about people. And it kind of made me sad that this is what people are thinking. They're thinking that there's not a lot of good left in the world. Okay? And I didn't want to believe that. I heard words like greed, selfish, competition is natural, cooperation is time wasted, and the bad is stronger than the good. And finally, the part that really upset me was there was this one philosopher back from the 1800s who actually said that compassion is weak and misguided, and such benevolence is called soft-heartedness and should not occur at all in human beings. He said that compassion is something that made people weak. So that was kind of one side of the brain. And I said, wait a second. There's got to be something more. Okay? I just don't buy it. I just don't believe this, because I remember a book that I picked up a few years ago called The Origins of Virtue. Okay? Human instincts and the evolution of cooperation. So I put on my science hat and I said, wait a second. Is compassion real? Does it really exist? Or is it just something we tell people you have to try and do? So I said, perhaps I'm going to look at this from a science point of view. Our brain has come a long way. So I read a little bit, I was researching, and I found this really fantastical article. And it talks about all of these different professors and psychologists that have done these wonderful studies. Okay, so the first professor here, what he did was he set out to give mothers pictures of their babies. And not only did the mothers actually say that they felt a loving compassion towards pictures of their own child, but he had these things kind of connected to their brains. And he noticed that there was an activity going on in the region of their brains associated with positive emotions. So there was actually something going on. There were another set that were both working at Princeton University at the time that did another study. They had subjects contemplate doing harm to another person. Okay, and showed them pictures of people being hurt. And what ended up happening was a similar region in the brain, just like the mother's, lit up. It triggered the same response. And one is looking at our children, one is looking at violence. Yet they both were united in terms of what part of our brain was connected. Okay? So what this suggests is that compassion isn't necessarily an irrational emotion, but it's a human response that's evolved in our brains. So I looked a little further and found this study that was done by professors at Emory University. And what these professors did is they gave the opportunity for people to help someone else. They did a study where people could actually intervene in situations and give somebody a hand. And what they noticed is that, in this case, the part of the brain that was triggered is the very same part of the brain that gets triggered when you win an award or that when you receive something. So what they said is that helping others brings the exact same pleasure we get when we get satisfaction from a personal desire. Just the act of helping someone gives us the same happiness that we get when we win an award. Okay? One more individual talked about the idea of fight or flight. Okay? In animals, we usually talk about it, and we have these same instincts, is that when we're in a situation where we think something bad could happen, okay, our heart starts beating faster, we start breathing harder, okay, and we get into what we call fight or flight mode. Well, when people are doing things that are compassionate, the exact opposite happens. Our heart rate slows down, our breathing becomes easier, okay, and it prepares us to actually approach and soothe, to be able to reach out and help somebody. Professor Eisenberg at Arizona State University, she's known as one of the world's experts on the development of compassion in children. And she studies expressions and nonverbal cues like touch. And she did these really, really fantastic studies that talked about the importance of touch and the importance of hugs and shaking hands. And I believe the study was they were even able to put people on walls where they couldn't see each other, and one person would reach their hand through the wall, and the other person had to, just by touch, try to convey an emotion, whether it was love, whether it was compassion, whether it was anger. And most times, the person, without even seeing anything, just by touch, knew exactly what emotion they were trying to get across. There's this wonderful website called The Greater Good, The Science of a Meaningful Life, and I got a lot of the information from one of their particular articles, and I would encourage people to read it. But what I like best is how it finished up. It said, recent scientific findings forcefully challenge this view of human nature. We see that compassion is deeply rooted in our brains, our bodies, and the most basic ways we communicate. What's more, a sense of compassion fosters compassionate behavior and helps shape the lessons we teach our children. The opportunity to help somebody isn't just a reaction. It's not that people aren't good or bad, it's what we choose to be. Okay? If you work on choosing to be helpful, if you work on choosing to be good, you are training your brain to do something that our brains are programmed to do, that our programs want to do, our brains want to do. So, I ended up finding a few more quotes. And today happens to be Albert Einstein's birthday, March 14th. So I thought a really, really famous and important scientist can tell us the following: that a human being is a part of a whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as someone separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task is to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. And another one of my heroes, who I always associate with compassion, the Dalai Lama says, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. And if you want to be happy, practice compassion. So if there's one quote I can hang up in your lockers today, one final quote, it would be this: if we choose to grow and use our knowledge and our virtues to feed our souls and the souls of others, then the best that humanity has to offer will evolve and revolve forever. Thank you.